Good morning, everybody. Andy Johnson here at Advertising Week Europe. Now, some fascinating facts. I've done my research on our next guest. Dream job, weather presenter.
Oh, yeah.
Often cajoling your daughter into doing her Latin homework.
She's not very good at it.
No, me
But
neither.
I am.
Won't go there. A former schools gymnast. Married to an airline pilot.
Yes.
So, I will say this very cornily, high-flying in more ways than one in your family. I should introduce you. It's only Abby Carvosso, the Group MD of Bauer. Welcome to Advertising Week.
Thank you.
It is a brilliant week, isn't it? There's so much going on. It's difficult to actually sort of touch down and actually realise what's happening.
I know. For us, we've just done our fourth session. So we kind of kicked it off on Monday with an amazing lunch with Wackle with Edwina Dunn, who was the founder of dunnhumby, who has just launched this project of the female lead. And so Grazia was kind of involved in that on Monday. So that was brilliant to kick it kind of off. And then yesterday we did something around influencers and the influence, which clearly you're an influencer. As a journalist, and they're kind of talking about how important it is, you know, the kind of credibility, the expertise in journalism and trusted brands. Then today we've just had two things, one on the millennials, and then we've just had the most incredible session that was around sound and colour with the Beatbox Collective. Who would have thought? The world champion beatboxers, and I can't beatbox.
I was going to say, well done. If we start to lose it, we'll start beatboxing.
Exactly.
That's the thing about it, and there's so much going on, isn't it? The days do tend to blend into each other, don't they? And also, of course, you've got the real, I think, big event of the week, if I can call it that, Al Gore with Terry White on Thursday. I
know, that is going to be the best thing. I mean, who would have thought of an ex-vice president coming in? I mean, it is incredible that he's going to be there, and I think Terry's kind of prepared herself. She was with Tom Hiddleston on Sunday afternoon at the Empire Awards, and now Al Gore.
She's such a name dropper, and rightly so. I spoke to her last. She's brilliant fun as well. I spoke to her last year. I have tried to put out a plaintive plea on Twitter to say, you know, if Al's got a few spare minutes, if he'd like to drop in here, I can't see it happening, but I'm ever the optimist.
Oh, I'll ask Terry for you.
It's obviously a big thing for Bauer this week. What have you mentioned a few there, what would you say your real highlights have been?
Do you know, I have to say what we've just seen in terms of beatbox was incredible, because I think there's this amazing thing of what we do in our business, because we're content creators, and the emotional connection that the stuff that we make kind of does, and you know, and the stories that we tell, and the story that Jean-Paul just told around how sound is so important now in terms of Alzheimer care, because that's your last sense that kind of goes, and kind of he was telling some of the stories, and it's really kind of heart moving and emotionally moving, and that's what we do, and that's what our business is based off. So to be able to showcase that in this kind of place is amazing.
And what's been, I guess, very exciting for organisations like yours is the way that you can reach your audiences now in so many different ways. It's not just obviously the traditional print or radio or so many things that combine now, aren't they? And you can really immerse yourselves in the brands.
Yeah, because I mean, we're really unique, which is why Adweek's fantastic, because we're across 5 platforms. So we obviously have a TV music business. So we had Matt Rennie from The Box presenting this morning. But we have events, we equally have, as you say, magazines, radio and digital. And I think we see it as it all starts with us understanding our audiences, and then we connect those audiences via our brands across all of those platforms. And because they're across all these platforms, it makes the job of a journalist so much more interesting now, and for the commercial teams, because I think it's about how do we connect these audiences, how do we understand what these audiences are doing. Because at the end of the day, if you don't understand your audience, you can't create great content. It doesn't matter where it's going to be, because you have to understand the audience at the beginning. And it's really enlightening for us, I think, to be able to show that in this kind of environment.
I was very lucky recently, because I do some lecturing at Manchester Met University, to meet John Pickford from Bauer. Superb guy. But I thought two things that really struck me. A, the work that Bauer does and the platforms you're working across, but the agility. Somebody like John, who's kind of my kind of era, old school journalist, knows the sort of media inside out. But again, being agile, but also at the root of all that is the authenticity, is the ability to tell stories and really engage with people, which is, when you strip everything else away, is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, and I think, in this world of fake news and, how important, I think, real premium content is, and the craft and the skill of those that create it, and creating these amazing stories. And John's a perfect example. But, a journalist now, it's about how you record something, how you then get it onto the right platforms quickly, you keep something back, how you kind of create that connection on all of those different platforms. So one piece of content can then go everywhere. And you know, I think we're really lucky by the nature of the kinds of audiences we have, the brands that we have, that we're able to think about content in a very different way. So, for example, we've got an Ents Hub that John works really closely with, which gives music labels and film studios a one point of contact that they can come to us. They can still do bespoke and exclusive activity on Kiss or Empire or whatever, but they can come to us and they know they can connect with 25 million people through us across all of those platforms, but still kind of keep that essence of the credibility of Empire and the music relevance of Absolute or Q Magazine. But having that one point of contact, I think, is really important. And a journalist that's able to think video, who's able to think words, who's able to think audio, you know, all at the same kind of time. I think it makes the life of a journalist really exciting now.
I absolutely agree, yeah, and I think it's one of those things that has brought you far closer to your audience in so many different ways, which can only be a good thing. I wanted to ask you, we talked to a lot of people during the week about leadership, and how do you think effective leadership stands in 2017? What do you think makes a good leader? You are one in business, I know. So what's your take on that?
Do you know what? I think it's quite similar to creating content as well. It's about understanding your audience, understanding your business, understanding where you want to go to, and being able to bring people with you on that and connect with them in an emotional, you know, with an emotional connection. And I think everyone's got to be authentic now. And, you know, to me, I don't like the kind of bullshit words that get flown around, you know, in our media industry. I think, you know, you say the word that means something, and if you say it, you do it. And I think that's what leadership is. It's about authenticity. It's about trusting people to do what you said you're going to do.
Another thing I'm sure you feel passionate about is getting really good women of all age groups and generations and backgrounds into the industry. I think it's getting better, but it's still a struggle for them. You're an example of having done that, and like a lot of people, a lot of women, you're juggling career, family issues, etc., etc. How do we get more really good young women involved in this industry, involved in the media and advertising, and keep them here?
That's what was really interesting about our lunch on Monday with the female lead, because it is about having great female role models and inspirational stories that women can tell. And for me, it's not about getting a number. If you've got something to say, you should say it, and it shouldn't just be for the sake of. But there aren't enough women who are prepared to be those kind of role models, and I think we all have to stand up, and we all have a part to play in that. And in our kind of stable of media brands, you know, we've got the Debrief, which is for 20-something women, and it's really important to us that we're their voice and that we can campaign and support them and the things that they want to do. And Grazia, for example, you know, part of the law that we changed in terms of equal pay was through Grazia, because we knew 3 years ago when we were doing some research on our audience that the thing that our audience, because they're professional working women, super smart, but they have children, they have families that they're kind of having to work with, and that they were really worried that their pay wasn't equal and it wasn't fair. And, you know, so Grazia campaigned for it. And I think we're in a really privileged position that we've got these brands as well that can be the mouthpiece for women as well.
Finally, what's this about wanting to be a weather presenter then? Where's that come from? Tell me about that.
Oh my God. Well, I'm a little bit embarrassed, but I did do a geography degree. And yeah, I just always thought, and I also thought, what a great job that you just turn up, do a bit of this, and then you can go home again.
A little bit of this. I like it. You're halfway there.
Exactly.
Maybe you can combine that with the beatboxing. You've got your own thing. We'll
Who
listen out
needs
for it on
media?
Bauer. Lovely to meet you. Have a great week. Thank you very much indeed. Of course, you can catch up with Bauer and everything that's going on our website, #AW Europe.